Hello there. Well, today I want to ask you, what on earth is up with our world? If you believe everything you read, we're clearly going to hell in that proverbial handbasket quicker than you can say, Beelzebub has a devil set aside for me. I can practically hear the hoofbeats of 4 spectral galloping horses as I speak. Seriously, it seems like we're in reverse gear amid something like a great cultural undoing. I mean, for sure, technology is moving at a wicked, and I use the word intentionally, at a wicked pace, but progressively it feels as if technology is actually accelerating this decline. So, long story short, I think we need a new name for this era, but none of the current candidates cut it. The Anthropocene, well, it has its following as a way of describing a new geological epoch where human activity dominates the Earth's climate and ecosystems. There have been many attempts to make this an official handle for the epoch, but they were tossed out finally in 2024. People still use it, but I'm not a fan because it's a bit sciencey when science has become something of a blood sport, so it doesn't get my vote. Well, okay, what about the information age? With the explosion of digital everything and now the whole generative AI revolution, the information age is certainly a contender. It's widely used already, and for many it implies an era of technological triumph and liberation, an era when bots bring transformational benefits to humanity, and we all live happily ever after in man-bot harmony. Well, what could possibly go wrong? Honestly, now that we know what we know, or at least what we don't know, the information age feels too controversial and altogether too narrow to capture the current zeitgeist. So where does that leave me? We all know what a Renaissance is, right? There's the capital R Renaissance version. This happened between the 14th and 17th centuries. It's basically when the known world stopped being marred in the superstitious miasma of the post-Roman Dark or Middle Ages. It sloughed off absolute adherence to religious dogma like a very large continent-enveloping snakeskin and began thinking outside the canonical square. This was spurred by a renewed fascination with the art, culture and philosophy of ancient Greece and Rome, well, probably, and also disgust with the cruelty and horror of medieval times, but it led to an artistic and science explosion of innovation across the board through the kick-ass genius of figures like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo and Galileo. So Renaissance quite simply means rebirth, naissance being birth, and we all know what re is. And we apply the term in loads of small r contexts. For example, I experienced a renaissance in my singing ability when I discovered a non-chemical asthma device which saw off all my respiratory woes and transformed my breathing capability. If you're interested, if you suffer from asthma, it's called an ear physio. It's an Australian product. Google it. And please understand I don't get paid for this. I just think it's made such a difference to my life. I mention it to anyone who might be interested. But another example, a sort of hypothetical example which fits my case against the information age as our defining state, could be something like libraries experiencing a renaissance as part of the human rebellion against the machines. But, I mean, essentially I feel like we're in the opposite of the big R Renaissance. I wanted something like I wanted an antonym. But when you search for an antonym, you get words like destruction, decadence, decline, intellectual shrinkage, technological decay, corruption and anti-intellectual politics. Well, that's all well and good. I mean, I quite like the decadence or the great decline, but I kept coming back to the idea of a sort of reversal in the same way that the Renaissance was a bursting of intellectual life. And an idea, it hit me squarely between the frontal lobes with the abrupt, tear-inducing shock of a wasabi flash bomb to the sinuses. The Dénaissance. Eureka, I thought, and I felt really smug until I thought about the linguistic realities. So in another of those inconvenient truths, Dénaissance doesn't actually mean what I want it to. Strictly speaking, it means from birth or by birth, de from or by, and naissance birth. And examples of usage might be date de naissance, date of birth, or place de naissance, place of birth. Okay, so then I considered what happens if you add an acute accent over the E. It still sounds the same. It's still Dénaissance. But de implies an undoing or reversal, like a défaire is in French is to undo. And that's all great because I like the undoing concept. But my French teacher from school will be shuddering in horreur from the great folie bergère in the sky, or wherever he is, at my clumsy appropriation, because dénaissance technically translates to unbirthing, which implies returning to the womb, or if you take it to the extreme, death. So, not great, damn, I thought. But when has the incorrect word usage ever stopped people? Word meanings change all the time, and in the current context, the idea of a society actively trying to crawl back up the birthing channels into a vast womb of ignorance doesn't appear to be too wide of the mark. In any case, I like the construct, and even if it's the worst of faux French, I'm going to run with it. So, welcome to the Dénaissance, people. Have a decadent day. But enjoy the sun blossoming with all its bigotry, anti-science, posturing and attention spans shorter than a TikTok reel. Forget your polymath Renaissance men like Ben Franklin and Isaac Newton. I give you Dénaissance dude. Dude, of course, representing any gender. I'm thinking Elon Musk and the rest of the tech bro cohort, the inane online influencers and breakfast TV anchors, the people, I won't name names here, who think cage wrestling is a fine art. The actual Renaissance gave us Raphael and Botticelli. The Dénaissance has achieved the cultural peaks of reality TV, podcasts like Steve Bannon's War Room, and proliferating AI slop. So it seems to me we appear to be not just sliding, but sprinting backwards towards our version of the Dark Ages, where we'll luxuriate in the unenlightenment, blinkered uncertainty, and a little r Renaissance of superstition. In this brave new world of the Dénaissance, if you can't order it from Temu, forget it. Fast fashion will be all there is. Clothes probably made from cheap synthetics that'll look great, but are likely only capable of being worn once. Maybe if you're an influencer for your Instagram photo, then binned. How great is that? Imagine the awfulness of all those Renaissance bores obsessed with quality craftsmanship, like Florentine textiles that were designed to endure. Where's the fun and variety in that? If you make it badly enough, punters will keep shelling out for replacements, high on the endorphin rush of endless online binging. And painters, good God, pathetic perfectionists like Bronzino spent eons identifying the exact weight, sheen and mathematical geometric folds of silk and velvet in portraits like Eleonora of Toledo. What were they thinking? We can just bung a few instructions into Grok or ChatGPT and Bob, or Vermeer, is your uncle, even if the resulting artwork might feature a subject with 6 fingers or 3 legs. And in the Dénaissance, basically, you can learn everything you need to know about life, the universe, and everything, your entire worldview, political, environmental, sociological, etc., from a 15-second video, headlines in your social scroll, or courtesy of a charismatic podcaster with big pecs. Aren't we lucky we've swerved those interminable humanist debates that could go on for 12 hours at a time that was such a feature of the Renaissance life in places like the Medici courts? It's bad enough listening to CNN type droning on in a 30-minute opinion piece. How on earth did they cope with their leading scholars like Marsilio Ficino and Pico della Mirandola, spending days, sorry about my accent, Italian's not one of my better skills, spending days arguing over a single mistranslated line of Plato. Yeah, I can do Latin, okay. People followed these debates with the zeal of current audiences give to the AI, recent current sensation, Vegetable Love Island. Imagine. But back in the day, intellectual rigour wasn't seen as a pose, but a civic duty. Poor sods, if only they'd had the luxury of the internet, how different their lives would have been. Another way modern life has triumphantly skipped ahead of the Renaissance is in architecture and building. Such an incredible waste of time and man-made hours went into building stuff back then. Okay, you might say that Florence Cathedral is a masterpiece with its sublime dome, and chops to Filippo Brunelleschi for, again, Italian. Difficult. Give me French or Latin any day. Let's try it again. Filippo Brunelleschi for inventing new hoisting machines to lay the bricks in herringbone pattern never seen before, and pulling one of the biggest domes ever together in only 16 years, without any formal architectural training even. But frankly, was it worth the wait? After all, it took 140 years, between 1296, when the foundation stone was laid, and 1436, when it was actually apparently finished, for the main structure to be completed. Even then, they were still fannying around with the facade well into the 19th century. In our world, you can have perfectly serviceable, if you ignore the shonky parts and morally bankrupt corner cutting often involved, soulless modern boxes in the blink of an AI's blueprinted eye. Nowadays, you'd struggle to give your blueprints away, let alone sell them. Brunelleschi apparently had to hide them from rivals who wanted to piggyback off his genius. So, where does that leave us? I've decided to start a Dénaissance movement, recognising the momentousness of our times. I see a manifesto. Don't you just love a good manifesto? I know I do. Unlike the US Constitution, which no one currently alive has the staying power to read beyond page 1, my Dénaissance manifesto is simplicity in itself, a masterpiece of brevity enshrining 3 fundamental pillars. Pillar 1, the end of effort. If it takes more than 3 clicks of 5 seconds, it's pointless, don't bother. Pillar 2, the worship of the ephemeral. Nothing should last. Built-in obsolescence on steroids is our creed, and anything that lasts beyond its first usage is beyond the pale and should be avoided at all costs. Pillar 3, the death of context. Why read when it can be ingested in soundbites, snippets and 10 seconds clips or reels? TikTok is the high altar of Dénaissance knowledge. So, ditch your battle for improvement and embrace the dumbed down and much more convenient mores of the Dénaissance. I'm thinking I'll be setting up a website where you can pay a modest fee to join so we can embrace the decay together. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Wait, I don't think I can actually be bothered. I just saw a headline, bedroom action on screen improves our well-being. Got to check that one out. But I guess that just makes me a true, fully paid up, attention-challenged Dénaissance chick with the attention span of a gnat who's living the manifesto dream. But I'll happily bequeath my movement to anyone who wants to run with it. Let me know in the comments section. You're welcome. So in the end, I'd say life's a bowl of purple petunias, but somehow I can't quite shed the infinitesimally small feeling of being a little bit duped. There has to be more to life than Temu, TikTok and AI slop, wouldn't you say?